There are some things you find in history that feel normal, like pottery, coins, swords, stuff you expect. And then there are discoveries that make you pause and go, wait, hold on. That shouldn't be there. If you watched the last video about the Voynich Manuscript, you already know the feeling I'm talking about. That unreadable book from the 1400s, real pages, real ink, but no one can make sense of it. It's like history left something behind, but forgot to include the instructions. Well, this time it's not a book. This time it's a machine. And the only reason we even know it exists is because it was pulled out of the ocean. Now, I'm pretty sure it wasn't supposed to exist. So picture this. Early 1900s, a group of sponge divers are working off the coast of Greece. And this isn't modern scuba gear. These guys are wearing these old school heavy diving suits with the big metal helmets, thick boots, and the whole thing looks like you're about to walk on the moon, except you're walking into the ocean. Now, one of the divers goes down, and when he comes back up, he's not celebrating. He looks kind of shaken, and he starts describing what he saw down there. And at first, it sounds terrifying. He says there were bodies on the ocean floor, human shapes just sort of laying there, but what he actually saw wasn't people. It was statues, bronze statues, and scattered around them was the outline of something even bigger, a shipwreck. So once they realize what they found, they start pulling artifacts up from the wreck. And at first, it's exactly what you'd expect from ancient shipwreck. Beautiful statues, coins, pottery, jewelry, stuff that screams sort of museum exhibit. But mixed in with all that, there's this ugly, corroded lump. No shine, no detail, just a chunk of bronze and wood that looks like it's been through 1,000 years of paint. It doesn't look special. Honestly, it looks like the kind of thing you'd sort of just toss aside. And what's crazy, because that lump actually ends up being the most important thing that they pull up. So they pull up this huge lump, and at some point after they bring it up, the lump sort of cracks open. And inside they see gears. Like, not decorative gears, real gears. Interlocking, layered, like the inside of a clock almost. And it's the same kind of moment as the Voynich Manuscript we discussed earlier. At first you're just sort of looking at it, and then you realize, hold on, this isn't just old, this is out of place. Because you don't expect ancient Greece to have something like, sort of looks like machinery. Not like this, not this precise, and not this complicated. And I'm pretty sure that's the moment everyone realized they weren't holding a random artifact. They were holding a problem. So this object is now referred to as the Antikythera Mechanism. And the simplest way to explain it is, it's basically an ancient computer. Not a screen, no buttons. It's like a mechanical computer. A device built to predict astronomical events. Like the phases of the moon, the movement of the sun, and even eclipses. Which sounds wild already, but it gets worse when you remember how old it is. Because this thing is dated to around 100 BCE, almost 2,000 years ago. Someone built a machine that could essentially calculate the sky. And here's why it freaks people out. For a long time, the story was that humans didn't build machines like this until way later, medieval times, Renaissance, when clocks and complex gears start to sort of show up. But the Antikythera Mechanism shows up way too early. It's like someone dropped a piece of advanced engineering into the wrong century. And it raises the same uncomfortable question as the Voynich Manuscript. If people could do this back then, why don't we see more of it? And where's the rest of the technology? Where's the trail? Because history doesn't show us a whole era of machines like this. It just shows us one. Just this one. And at first, people didn't want to believe it. They tried to explain it away. Maybe it's decorative, maybe it's, not that complex, maybe it's being misunderstood. But every time researchers studied it more, it got harder to ignore. They found more gears, more fragments, more proof that this thing was designed on purpose. It wasn't random, it wasn't a toy, it wasn't just art. It was built to do a job. And apparently it did that job really well. Now, one of the creepiest parts for me that is, it's not just gears. There are inscriptions on it, writing carved into the device itself. almost like instructions. Like someone built this thing and thought, okay, if you're using this, here's what it does. It sort of references cycles, calendars, eclipse patterns, and that's when it hit me. This isn't just an artifact, it's more like stored knowledge. It's the same feeling as a Voynich manuscript, except this time the mystery isn't written in ink, it's written in metal. And it's like both objects are saying the same thing. We understood something, and now you don't. Now, probably one of the most unsettling parts isn't even the mechanism itself, it's what it implies. Because if someone could build this, it probably wasn't an accident. It makes you wonder if this was the only one, or if it's just the only one that survived, or maybe we found. Like, what if there were more machines like this? What if this was normal for a small group of people and then something happened? War, collapse, fire, time, and the knowledge just sort of disappeared. Not because humans weren't capable, but because history didn't preserve it. And this is where I sort of start connecting some dots because first it's a book nobody can read, then it's a machine nobody expects. And at some point you stop asking, what is this? And you start asking something way more unsettling. What happened to us? Like, what did we forget? What did we lose? And what parts of the story are still missing? Today, scientists have built reconstructions of the Antikythera mechanism. And when you see it working, it honestly just feels kind of wrong because it looks, modern. It looks like something that belongs in a science museum next to early calculators and old clockwork models. Not something that should have been sitting on an ancient ship. When the gears move, it's like watching the past behave like the future. And it makes the whole thing harder to brush off as just, oh, just this little weird object because it works. It like actually works. So who made it? We don't know. Some people connected to the Greek mathematicians and scientific schools that were way more advanced than we give them credit for. But there's no signature, no maker's name, no built by this, which makes it feel even stranger. But because someone out there had the brain power to create something like this, and history didn't even remember who they were. Now, I keep thinking about the moment the ship sank because someone lost this machine. Someone watched it disappear into the ocean, and maybe they knew exactly what they were losing. It's not gold, not treasure, years of knowledge, years of work, then it's gone for 2,000 years, just sitting in darkness until someone drags it back into the light. Like broken, corroded, but obviously still kind of speaking. I'm pretty sure that's the creepiest part. Not that it exists, but that it survived long enough to confuse us. And when you put it next to the Voynich Manuscript, it gets even stranger. Because now it's not one weird thing, it's two. A book we can't read, a machine that we shouldn't have. And both of them feel like they belong to a version of history we don't fully understand. Like, there are missing pages in the human timeline. And every once in a while, something sort of just slips through the cracks. So now we've got two pieces on the table. A book we can't read, and a machine we shouldn't have. Both real, both ancient, both completely out of place. And both pointing to the same uncomfortable idea. That human history was missing chapters. And the next discovery might be the biggest missing chapter of all, because there's a place on Earth that rewrites the beginning of civilization. It's not a book, not a machine, a structure, a temple, older than farming, older than cities, older than what we were supposed to be capable of. I'm pretty sure Göbekli Tepe is where it stops being a mystery and starts being a pattern. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you catch you guys on the next one. Peace.